Okay, here we go. I'm very close.
Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to do a persuasive speech on everyone deserves an individualized education. My name's Barb Judy. Our government, both federal and state, is not providing a fair education to our students. I believe every student should have the opportunity to gain a full year's progress regardless of their grade level. A year's progress can be measured by using test results they obtain from the current testing they have in place, which is the I-STEP test. These standards are already set for each grade level. Currently, all states offer disabled students an individualized education plan to ensure they're progressing from their current level. They are writing and reviewing an individual plan for each child that is disabled. There is one issue with the current way the system is used. The plan is written, but I don't believe the student is progressing and gaining a full year's education level. The school is putting into place help for the student. They receive a passing grade, but they are not being educated a full school year. And also, what about the gifted student? Very few states, less than 10, use an individualized education plan for gifted students. The gifted student should progress and receive a full year's education also. There are currently 27 states that mandate full or partial gifted programs. This means 23 states do not have any type of plan in place for the gifted students. I believe every student is entitled to that full year's education each and every school year. The schools report it is too expensive to teach in an individualized manner, but how fair is this to our students? If the entire school system was individualized, instead of just a few, maybe all of the students would get a better education. I have experienced firsthand how the school system works, and I do not agree with the system currently in place. Many parents and educators will argue that the current system needs to be reviewed, rewritten, to ensure our students are receiving a quality education and are college or job market ready at the end of their high school level. The No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, which amended the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, aimed to improve student achievement, particularly among the poor and minority students. The name No Child Left Behind was meant literally. By the year 2014, every child in a public school was to be proficient in math and reading for their grade level. According to this chart, in 2001, both math and English, the students were at 60%. By the year 2013 and 14, they want 100% proficiency for all students. The act is not working for students or for the teachers. We need to be more flexible with the requirements and guidelines for high-performing schools, and we need to focus on the low-performing schools. Everyone agrees that the No Child Left Behind Act is a great thing. It gives great attention to the students struggling or the disabled students, but it doesn't ensure they're getting a good education. Disabled students include physically, mentally, or learning disabled. This law requires schools improve student achievement so that all public school students are proficient in reading and math. The No Child Left Behind Act mandates that states develop measurable milestones for schools to use to gauge their success in improving the child's achievement until the 100% proficiency is met. The Act influences other aspects of public education. It mandates that the teachers for math and reading be highly qualified. It provides federal money to educate the low-achieving schools through Reading First grants. The accountability system being measured to measure the school progress is titled the Adequate Yearly Progress Standard. Adequate yearly progress is a measure of year-to-year student achievement. The state is required to set the performance standards, develop some tests, which are the I-STEP test, to see if the students are meeting those standards, and they are required to set standard levels that are used to consider the student proficient in those areas of math and English. Each year, all public schools must administer the test and report back to the state the data. In order for a school to meet adequate yearly progress, schools must meet 4 requirements. They must have 95% of enrolled students participate in the testing. All students must score at the proficient level set by the school. All students must meet yearly adequate progress targets for graduation and attendance, and they must ensure all students are making progress toward reaching the 100% proficient goal by 2014. These requirements are used to make determinations about whether or not the school has met state academic proficiency targets. If the school students do not meet these levels for 2 years, the school will be put on an improvement list. These schools will receive technical assistance and must develop a 2-year plan to raise the student performance levels. The Act puts educators under intense pressure to produce better results. Currently, the school's curriculum is overrun by test preparation, and some use tests that ask questions designed for younger grade levels, not the student's current grade level. According to Neil DeMoose, in an article written for the Village Voice, he writes, "The pressure on both the school system and the government officials has caused them to adjust their numbers and to use outright cheating if necessary. States not only design their own tests, but they also set their own minimum score necessary to earn a passing grade. This means we have 50 sets of state standards and assessments that define expectations and proficiency in 50 different ways." Critics argue that states can write their own individualized test, so they can write tests that are not appropriate for the student's grade level. Some states have a very tough testing and others are very easy. The Act needs to provide a national system for grading students. The current way of grading our students is not giving us a true picture of each student or the school system. These tests should be standardized across the United States and not different for each state. The government also needs to mandate the individualized education plan for use with gifted students. The gifted student gets overlooked. Most of the time, the gifted student sits in class, is not engaged or challenged. They come to class but are above the level of the class, so they just pass the grade but don't get a full year's education. The teacher teaches to the grade level and not to the student. They should have the opportunity to gain a full year's education just as the disabled learner. We need to challenge our gifted learners. When using the individualized education plan for the disabled learner, they can put many things in place to help the student. What I am seeing is that the individualized education plan is not being used as it was designed for. My stepson has an individualized education plan. Written into the plan is for his multiple choice test to be narrowed down. This means a multiple choice test that has 4 answers is now narrowed down to 2. This gives him a 50% chance of guessing the right answer. He is also pulled out of regular classes to get help on his reading. He currently is in the 7th grade and has a reading level of a 2nd grader. How can this individualized education plan possibly be working? He has had his plan in place for almost all of his years in school. The sad part is that school is giving him grades above a C level and passes him to the next grade level. Is this what the No Child Left Behind means? Pass the student no matter what their level? How can they continue to pass the student when his reading level is 5 grade levels below where he should be reading? Every test that he takes, he does not meet the state required passing score, but he continues to move ahead another grade level each year. My student needs to gain a full year's education and not just move to the next grade level. I have also been apprised of the opposite happening in the same school system. My friend's son is gifted and very intelligent. He's not challenged and his test scores do not show a full year's education being gained. He is currently being moved to the next grade level in some subjects, but in others he is still at his current grade level. His mother is exploring options of moving him from this school system to another school system so that he can be better challenged. He deserves to gain that full year's knowledge and not sit in class, pass, and not be highly educated. I know it would be very hard for schools to teach each student individually, but something has to be put in place for these students to get educated properly. The student deserves a full year's knowledge each and every year. I believe we should do away with the age grade level system and use a knowledge level system. Put students in individual classes according to their knowledge level, regardless of their age. It is as if the school does not want to hold back any child for any reason. Is this due to the adequate yearly progress reporting that must be done each year? No Child Left Behind Act needs some serious revising. The federal government has got to look at the individual and not at the entire school system. Each student is so very individual. Each student learns at their own pace. We need to individualize teaching to better educate our students. The individualized education plan has the potential of being the system we can use for a more individualized approach to educating students. This can be a great tool to use to make our teachers accountable and to involve the parents in decision-making for their student. Many think that individualized education is a burden due to the paperwork involved, but it should be looked as a great opportunity to improve the quality and education of the student. If we could individualize each student's education plan, I believe each student would have a better opportunity to gain a full education. We are all individuals, and the school system should recognize that we are all different and deserve to be treated individually.